stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy, and I want to welcome you to part one of this episode of the Unpleasant Blind Guy on EDL Radio. Now remember, if you want to contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, Awesome American suggestions, I'm available at UBG Contact on Twitter, or I can also be found as Dave Milner or Agador, that's Aggedor, on Mublet, the Tea Party Community, Spreely, Minds, MeWe, or Gab. Now let's begin. On July the 7th, 2005, terrorists exploded bombs in London, killing 52 people and injuring 700. The people of the United Kingdom called that day 7/7.
Just a warning for you from today, Chiltern Railways, none of their trains calling at Sudbury and Harrow Road and Sudbury Hill Harrow. You've also got South Eastern services suspended Charlton's Blackheath after a points failure, tickets being accepted on the Docklands Light Railway, and the Tubes, delays on the Northern and Bakerloo lines, delays on the Northern and Piccadilly lines. You've also got no Northern Line service Morden to Stockwell with a breakdown, and delays on the Bakerloo as well. Jules Wilson, BBC London 94.9, next updates in 15 minutes.
BBC London 94.9 FM. And BBC Radio London on digital.
On TV, on radio, online.
This is BBC London.
London's news at 9, changing the law, planning the stadiums. London's 2012 Olympics are already taking shape. Regenerating the planet is the task for the G8 leaders in Scotland, and a Kenyan boy at the centre of a visa row arrives in the capital. Good morning, I'm Richard Foster. The members of London's victorious Olympic campaign team have now got 7 years to regenerate the East End. BBC London 94.9's Max Rushton has more.
Seb Coe might be used to sprint finishes, but this time he knows that won't be enough.
This is 7 years of very, very hard, unremitting work.
After 64 years without the Games, we'll have another opening ceremony.
The hour has struck. The eyes of the world today, and for these next 14 days, will be on London.
So what to do? Well, there's a lot of building, £560 million worth to be precise, and with that comes security. It's a big deal. The Chief Commissioner of the Met is Sir Ian Blair.
London is a terrorist target, and particularly the postcard sites of London have been all along, and it is again that experience. But what is important to recognise is that because we're broadly in new build territory, these games will be built to contain security.
Reassuring words, and even though there's a lot of time to go, the knock-on effects are already being noticed.
020 722 2000, 25 minutes past 9. There's been an incident at Liverpool Street. Pete joins me in the studio. Pete Wilson can tell us what's been going on. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning. We're just trying to figure out exactly what this is. We've been told that there was something that happened during the rush hour this morning with reports of a bang. Now, what we're getting from British Transport...
Sorry, of a bang, an explosion?
No, a bang. It was
bang.
just a noise that was reported at the time, and that's what people started to think as to what was going on. We've now been told it looks like there could have been a collision between two trains involved on it that may have caused a power surge. Now, the advice at the minute is for people not to try and use the underground, simply because...
The whole system?
Yeah, because the power's kind of gone through. It shut everything down at the minute, so there's not really much running. The latest from British Transport Police say that there are a few people have been hurt. We haven't got any figures yet. They've been described as walking wounded.
The incident was at Liverpool Street?
Liverpool Street, yeah. It's thought there's now been some kind of power surge that's gone through, affecting Bank and King's Cross. So it's going to have quite a bit of a knock-on effect. Obviously, it's still coming through at the minute, so the best advice is probably listen to the travel bulletins come out at 9:30 especially. They'll give the latest. But at the moment, the advice is to stay away from the underground for the time being because of this.
Thank you very much indeed. 020 722 2000. If you were at Liverpool Street this morning and you know what's gone on, give me a call, please, straight away. 020 722 2000. But the advice at the moment, stay off the tube. 26 minutes past 9. We'll have a full travel update for you. Bang on, 9:30. Take a quick break. Back in a moment.
You're listening to London's radio station.
How do you intend to prove to Londoners that you are indeed a thief taker rather than a social engineer?
Next Tuesday morning, the Met Police Commissioner, Sir Ian Blair, answers to you.
My job is to make London safe, and how am I going to be judged? Let's see how safe London is in 5 years' time.
Your concern.
At 9:27 minutes past 9 at the moment. Let's go to Sean in Bexley, first time call.
Good morning, Courtney. How you doing?
I'm fabulous. What do you want to say?
Cool. Well, I was all ready to rant and rave when I heard that the whole tube network was down, and thinking, oh my God, what does this spell for the Olympics?
Yeah.
And one of the things they picked up on was the transport.
They did.
And then I heard that there was, probably an incident where a couple of people have been hurt. So I'm going to sort of less rant and rave, but it does bring some concerns, doesn't it, about London's transport and how just one incident can affect the whole lot. And that's my thing, really.
But do you feel that you're happy about the Olympics coming today or not?
Breaking news we're getting from the PA Newswire that there's been reports of an explosion outside Liverpool Street Station. That, of course, in the East End of London. It's the bordering area. You'll be maybe familiar with the Swiss building known as the Gherkin, which, of course, has been a familiar landmark throughout London for the past sort of couple of years or so. That's very close to Liverpool Street Station. They're getting this reports of an explosion from the British Transport Police.
Yeah, no more information at the moment. No details of whether the police had been informed of a warning. Of course, it comes just after the rush hour ended, 9 o'clock. Most people at work probably by now, but emergency services, so assuming the fire brigade, ambulance service as well, and indeed British Transport Police are going to London's Liverpool Street Station after reports there of an explosion.
Attack on London. Above ground and below.
We're all trapped like sardines, waiting to die.
Explosions tear through the heart of the British capital.
When they try to intimidate us, we will not be intimidated.
Tonight, on a special edition of the National CBC Correspondence in London, at the G8 Summit in Scotland, and here at home. Plus, Brian Stewart on Who Did This, and Susan Ormiston on the risk in Canada.
This is a special edition of The National.
Well, good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the English Defence League radio show. As you probably realise, this was the sound of total confusion with what happened on that day, 7/7 back in 2005. So you heard some things, the total confusion. There was a bang. There was an explosion. There was a bang. So one of them said, you see, it's total confusion. And it was that two trains had collided. And it wasn't. It was just pure speculation, typical of what we get when an incident like this happens. Unfortunately, a lot of us do not listen too much with the breaking news, the way that they are projecting the message they're trying to put across. It's just a message of trying to keep people calm, but it comes across as not very good. But as I say, we have got today. We have a two-part show. We've extended the show. We've got an hour that we'll be discussing what happened on 7/7 that day, where so many people lost their lives and so many injuries. And I will read out the script for tonight. Once again, I've got to thank Dave for the great slides as usual, and it's absolutely awesome way that he puts our scripts together for us. So welcome to the English Defence League radio show with your host, Jeff Spider Mitchell, and our panellist and our wingman this evening is Dave Agador Milner. Jen the Tornado Renee will join us when she can. She's got a heavy workload. Tonight the show will be in two parts. The first part will be remembering those horrific events of the morning when the Islamic suicide bombers attacked London transport and the underground leaving 52 dead and over 700 injured in 2005. We will also mark the 3rd anniversary of the Black Lives Matter terror attack in Dallas on this same day in 2016. We will be reading the names of those innocent men and women who lost their lives on that day and the day after. In part 2, we'll be talking about the injustice against Mr. Tommy Robinson, a true legend and a hero. So we have a busy evening ahead with an expanded programme. Remember, and no surrender, ever. Without further ado, let me bring in my colleague and my great panellist, my wingman, Mr. Dave Agador Milner. Good evening, good afternoon, Dave. Hope you're well. My goodness me, we have a busy radio show this evening, haven't we? We certainly have.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, Jeff, and good evening to you, Jeff, and good afternoon to everybody in the States. Yeah, a somber day for those of us who live both in the UK and for especially for people who come from the area around Dallas, and really for all Americans, because of that attack that day. 7/7 resonates with us both across the pond, and we will do a little bit of talking about the Dallas attack. I have a few things for that, but we obviously have to begin with what was called the UK's 9/11, which was the 7/7 attack, or attacks, I should say, Jeff. These, as you said, it started out just an ordinary day, and I found the BBC radio presentations ironic because they were talking. The thing that everyone was concerned about at first was talking about, the big news. They've got the 2012 Olympics coming to London. It's great. But there's a security concern because London is a target for terrorists. And little did they know that as they were speaking those words...
That was happening at the moment, at the time. You're right, Dave.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, huge irony. People who don't know about this, guys, these things, these attacks happened in several places. We're talking about, in London, Edgware Road, Tavistock Square, of course, at King's Cross, Russell Square, Liverpool Street, which I did mention, and Aldgate. And
Aldgate, yeah.
We will be reading the names, though, guys. Jeff and I tend to get a little bit chesty, Jeff, because of his ordinary physical, complaints, and I because I've been suffering from a little bit of chestiness my own self. But we will have a reading of the names, which we did last year with Leslie Ann Stoffel helping us out, and we'll have that. But first, I wanted to go ahead and play another sort of media montage, which gives you a further idea of what was going on. Jeff was very, I thought you were very good when you mentioned how news like this, when it's breaking news, people really don't know what's going on, and that so reminded me of 9/11 because people said, well, could that have just been an accident? Because obviously
we when we see the pictures, don't we? Myself and you, Dave, and most people that could see that thought it was just a tragedy. The plane was off course, or some. We didn't even think of it as being attacked until we saw the second plane come in the way it did, and you knew then straight away. This was an attack. This was
certainly.
Sorry, Dave, I was just
no, Jeff. It's okay. Because a B-17 had, run into the Empire State Building in New York in 1942. So this was something that we just thought would have been just as they thought that there could have been a possibility of an accident, tragic as it would have been, in the underground of two trains running into each other. You know, that it would have been horrible if just that had happened. But there really was no realization of the depth of what happened, Jeff. And as you said, just as they were speaking the words, it was happening. So if you don't mind, I'll run this one. This is from a guy named Aaron 1912. He's the one that put this montage together. This is about 4.25 minutes long. So Jeff, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and run this one, and then we'll comment some more.
Please do.
You ready?
Thank you, mate.
Yeah. All right, here we go, guys. You're listening to the English Defence League radio show. We're recognizing 7/7, the London attacks.
Where in just less than 48 hours the decision will be made and London's fate sealed.
The International Olympic Committee has the honor of announcing that the Games of the 30th Olympiad in 2012 are awarded to the city of London.
And the UK celebrates Tony Blair. Wherever you are, you have to be high-fiving whoever you see.
Absolutely. Saying, we're going to fix our cuisine.
I'm glad.
Jacques Chirac.
Yeah.
What do you fix it?
First time since 1948. You know, it's rare when you have any event where an entire country can celebrate. Yeah. And that's exactly what's happening right now.
What I'm most happy about, if anybody cares, is that the people in France are very unhappy right now.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That makes me feel good.
That makes you feel good.
But it does appear as though the top deck of the bus has been very severely damaged.
Now, we've been reporting many incidents this morning. One, you know, if you've been watching, is at King's Cross. We have been speaking to people in the area.
The scene who heard a loud explosion and had a witness tell him that he saw.
All London hospitals are now on major incident alert.
The scrambling, as it were. وهنالك طبعا يعني تأكيد إضافي على وجود.
It does now appear to be a major terrorist attack.
Just to review, there's been at least, it seems as though, at least 6, possibly 7 explosions, some underground in the tube we call subways, others off a double-decker bus.
We've got confirmed by a government spokesman that there are 20 people dead in the blast so far.
We just want to make sure that you're safe, Susan.
And we're getting reports of another explosion on Houndsditch Road near Liverpool Street Station.
You've moved out yourself, I believe, and we can hear the emergency service.
I know.
Tell us what's happening.
I've just been a fire engine nearly run somebody over in his hurry to get. There's been another bang up at Tavistock Square. It was about a minute ago. Now I'm being moved on. We're being moved further back.
Now coming in of today's clearly terrible events, just to give you a sum up of what's been happening as far as we know at the moment. Confirmed reports of explosions at a number of locations, both on the London Underground, and buses have been targeted. Initially, we were hearing that power surges were to blame. It now looks like a terrorist attack. Now, a common statement is due to be made later today on these explosions.
We're just hearing that at least 90 casualties have been suffered at Aldergate Underground Station, according to a doctor there.
Arab sources who monitor Al-Qaeda have told the BBC that they believe today's explosions in London are almost certainly the work of Al-Qaeda.
If there have been casualties, or if there has been some sort of an incident, it may not have provoked as many casualties, of course, as the bombings a couple of weeks ago, but it is a large area that they've fought off, and I can't see the whole
Joe,
of the
just
crossroads
getting news that emergency services say they're responding to reports of an incident on a bus in Hackney Road. That's the junction of Columbia Road in East London, Hackney Road and Columbia Road in East London. Scotland Yard saying emergency services responding to reports of an incident on a bus.
And we got 2 patrol cars. So at the moment, really, people just wondering what's happening. We haven't heard any information yet.
One nail bomb has exploded at Warren Street Station.
This
what we've been seeing here is eerie because it happened last 2 Thursdays ago on 7/7.
2 weeks ago today.
2 weeks ago today. There's been a report now, according to the AP, of 3 explosions in 3 different stations in and around London.
3 incidents.
And there you are, people.
Yeah, it's brings it home to you. I mean, that was true reporting. That is the way that things should be reported. At least you're getting facts. You're not getting the jumbled up things of what we heard at the first segment earlier on. You know, it was a problem between two tubes crashing, and all of it was totally. He could have been sitting on planet Mars speaking about things. He didn't have a clue what he was on about. I think it was disgusting, actually, the way that he was trying to present something. And when you look at the whole aspect of it, I mean, it proves how important. Some people should just engage their brain and shut their mouth until they get the facts. So I don't know about you, though, especially when something so significant has happened. So we wanted the facts because there was our people. This was people's families that's been involved in this. We want to know exactly what's gone on, who's done what. We found out at the end that these were home-brewed bombers. These were born in this country, and they was the suicide bombers. They'd already had martyrs' letters and videos they'd done, and it was all seen during the hearing of exactly what went on. I never forget it. You know, I know exactly where I was when I heard the first thing. The first thing on the radio was there was an incident in London. They didn't know exactly what it was, and that was the same sort of jarbled thing. And then as we was coming further along, we was just heading home from when I had my operation. I was telling you about, Dave. And it was on the, I think it was the A12, the A14 on the way back, and it come in about the first incident I heard was around about 5 to 9. It happened about 10 to, but it was about 5 minutes later that we heard that something had happened. But it's, then we heard further as we was coming down the road further, there was other incidents around London, and I thought, my goodness me, what the hell? I thought of my boys working in London, and I thought, how the hell they're away from me, just get out of London, and exactly as what my son said, just go back home, let's forget today, we'll come back when things are a bit calmer, because it's crazy, but we didn't realise the tragedy that had unfolded, that was still unfolding. I mean, as you said, there's 700 people plus, there's injured and 52 people killed in these explosions. I mean, the top of the bus, which was blown off, it looked like it had just been, it looked like you opened a banana, the way you peel a banana. It's just shit, that's what it looked like, didn't it, Dave? But this was
that's
just
in one of the slides,
you still see people that was on the pavement being assisted. The general public were running to help. There was people that was blown off the bus, and people were dying. 13 people died on that bus, or from that bus. And I don't know how many injuries. I can't remember exactly, but it was significant. 13 on the bus. That said a lot. He was on the back seat when he exploded that bomb as well. But it was, you can see how devastating it was, Dave. I don't know how many times we've seen these pictures, Dave. Over the years. I mean, it seems like, just like yesterday, when we're talking about it again today, it just feels so fresh in my mind, Dave.
It never fails
in my brain, you know what I mean?
It never fails to amaze, Jeff. It never fails to amaze. I just want to say 2 comments. The first one, about really the only good thing that I heard, the only really useful thing that I heard out of that very early coverage off the BBC was the radio host there telling people, stay off the tube. So they managed to get that through, even if they didn't get very much else. And the other thing was just that just like the people of New York did for the victims of the 9/11 attacks when they came out of the two towers, you saw the people of London helping each other out. Government services were obviously doing what they could, but the people of London, as they are wont to do, stepped up and lent a hand where they could, and that's very inspiring. Brings a tear to the eye always when you see that, man. That's when we're at our best as a people, when we do that for each other, even for people we don't even know. We rush in, and
it's not as if that we haven't experienced terrorists over 30 years that was bombing the mainland, the RA. We'd experienced it for 30 years, didn't we? So it wasn't new, but this was a new, a foreign attack. You could say that this was, something that we hadn't seen before, and that was true. How true it was, and what we've seen since then, it proves everything what we've ever said about this death cult, because that's what it is. But it's just, people are people. When tragedy hits, we find the best and the worst in people. Sometimes we find the worst. Sometimes with the police who want to run, hide, and tell, and lock themselves in their car while people are being hurt. And we know that, and I would always keep repeating that of what we see at London Bridge. What happened there? A top copper, locking himself in his police car with other officers, and while another officer was being killed, he just sat there in his car. Proves the cowardice that we see now. But no, it was a very dark day. It's a day that I don't think any of us will forget. I will never forget it, because I remember as it unfolded, I remember getting in and turning it. I knew what I was going to see. It was going to be devastating. And when I turned it on, there was, it was like all day. It was all day showing, different things. And don't forget Martin, a friend of ours. He was one of the first responders, and it disturbed him. I mean, he was he had PSD, whatever it's called, Dave.
PTSD,
he couldn't get over the scenes that he witnessed. That he's because at the time you go into the adrenaline kicks in and you just do your job, don't you? It's only when you have time to reflect that's when the nightmares come back flooding to you, isn't it, Dave? And when you actually the realism of what you was involved in is so traumatic, isn't it? It's really hard to take in because you're only human beings, aren't you? And just see that carnage and bloodshed and bits and pieces of people and people dying and crying and oh my God, I just, legitimately, you just got to think about it. Just think about being there. You're one of the first responders. You've got to help these people, and you can see the devastation. You see people with their limbs being blown off, people dying as you try to help them, and that sort of thing. It's, it is what it is, Dave. I mean, it is, the jihadists went about their gruesome, evil work, like they did. It's quite obvious. We soon found out who they were. See, the thing about, England is that the place is covered in CCTVs. There's probably more CCTVs in this country than anywhere else in the world. So we soon got to find out exactly who they were and their movements and everything, and where they started from. So it all unfolded, didn't it? As the time went by, we soon got a full picture of who these people were. And one of them actually come from Luton, Tommy Robinson's hometown. They went and picked him up, mate, on the way to London. That's so the story goes, Dave. So.
Did you not have a story that you wanted to read concerning 7/7? You read part of it to me, and I thought it was really good. And I think that Go ahead, brother, please.
Yeah, no, this was, I'd say, Philip Duckworth. He was, I'll read out. It says the investment banker was so close to Shehzad Samweer that he was blinded in one eye by a fragment of the bomber's shin bone. Mr. Duckworth described how he was blown onto the tracks by the force of the blast and drifted in and out of consciousness. Coroner Lady Justice Hullett said his was an astonishing story and that he had reduced the court to silence. The professional dancer from Ipswich was sitting reading a newspaper next to his dance partner. Further along the carriage was from the bomber. Mr. Late suffered minor burns, cuts and burst eardrums and remains partially deaf. He told the inquest how he held the hand of victim Fiona Stevenson until she died. I tried to comfort her, he said. That was just one story out of many stories. It was just one that I read today and Dave said, yeah, well, let's put it on the show. So that was Philip Duckworth. Don't forget, there was a lot more other. There was Martin Wilshire. There was Andrew Brown. There was Bruce Last. Paul Mitchell. There was numerous people, with their own stories. But yeah, Dave, as I say, it's just sad, poor Fiona. The guy held her hand comforted her till she passed away. That's your lasting picture, isn't it? You're always going to have that in your picture in your mind, aren't you? Actually what went on, you sitting quietly on a tube, the hustle bustle of the morning, like the morning rush hour, and then before you know it, you got injuries and there you are, comforting a dying woman. I mean, you can't make it up, can you, Dave? You can't put yourself in the place of the people that was involved. I mean, it was absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific.
It was, Jeff. Yeah, it was, man. I mean, and yeah, it's the suddenness of it. I mean, one moment everything's normal. You're living a normal life, and just trying to get to work or school, as was true in the case of 7/7, and 9/11 was basically some people were at work, some people hadn't even made it to work yet. I think these incidents weld our nations together in a lot of ways, and suddenly it's not the same anymore. Suddenly, you're in chaos, you're in a war zone, it seems like, and things like that. And it's definitely different. Now, Jeff, I think it's time. There is what we usually do. Each 7/7 show is we read out the names of the victims of the 7/7 bombings, and I also read out the victims of the 7/7 Dallas attack. All right. And as I explained earlier, Jeff and I might be a bit chesty this time, so we've decided to go ahead and play a reading that we did in 2018. This one is with Leslie Ann Stoffel. She was with us and helped out, and of course I'll always wish Leslie Ann Stoffel well. She's welcome here anytime. She is our little star, and she did help us with this. So Jeff, if you are prepared, I'll go ahead and run this. Guys, this will be about just under 6.5 minutes long. Are you ready, Jeff?
Yeah, let's roll it, Dave.
All right. You're listening to the English Defense League radio show. Here we go. These are the names that you need to remember.
We are recognizing the lives lost in the 7/7 attacks. And, Jeff, you have the story. And, Leslie, if you're prepared, what we usually do is read out the names. Jeff, if you want to read out the names for Russell Square, and then Leslie, if you would like to take Tavistock Square, I'll take Altgate and Edgware Road.
Okay.
So, guys, if you want to start that, Jeff, we'll take our cue from you, and you can start it. You've got the story.
The names of Russell Square. Ladies and gentlemen, there was 26 fatalities on that day. So with that, I think I'll read the names out of who lost their lives that day, and they'll never be forgot. We will never forget these people going about their business. This was Russell Square, say 26 fatalities. And the first name I want to read is James Adams. Samantha Badham, Philip Beer, Anna Brandt, Kieran Cassidy, Rachel Chung for UN, Elizabeth Daplin, Arthur Frederick, Carolina Gluck, Gams Ganoru, Lee Harris, Ojara Ikajua, Emily Jenkins, Helen Jones, Susan Levy, Shelley Mather, Michael Matshuita, James Mays, B. Hans Mizakas, Mihaila Otto, Atiq Sharifi, Ihab Sleman, Christian Small, Monica Suchoka, Marla Trivedi, and Adrian Johnson. With that, I'd like to pass it to you, Leslie.
Yes, Tavistock Square, there were 13 fatalities here, and the first name here is Anthony Bataye Batayi Williams, Jamie Gordon, Giles Hart, Marie Hartley, Miriam Hyman, Shahara Islam, Neetu Jane, Sam Lai, Jai Anyuja Harasanangari, Anat Rosenberg, Philip Russell, William Wise, Gladys Wundawa. And I'll pass it to Dave to read the Aldgate 7 fatalities.
Thank you, Leslie. Altgate, 7 fatalities. Lee Byston, Benedetta Sophia, Richard Ellery, Richard Gray, Ann Moffat, Carrie Taylor, and Fiona Stevenson. And I will also read the names from Edgware Road, where there were 6 fatalities. Michael Stanley, Jonathan Downey, David Graham Falkes, Colin William Morley, Jennifer Vanda Nicholson, and Laura Webb And I would also like to beg everyone's indulgence because on the same day, July the 7th in 2016, Black Lives Matter terrorists killed 5 Dallas police officers, and I would like to read their names now. Those law enforcement officers' names were Dallas Area Rapid Transit Officer Brent Thompson, age 43. Dallas Police Department Officer Patrick Zamaria, age 32. Dallas Police Department Officer Michael Kroll, age 40. Dallas Police Department Senior Corporal Lorne Arons, age 48. Dallas Police Department Sergeant Michael Smith, age 55. Those are the names of lives lost in 7/7 in the United Kingdom and Dallas. May God comfort their families and friends.
And that is it for this time. Next time, Part 2. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye.
The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2019. Anno Domini. Now for Dave's Canes. Extras that help you navigate the new media world.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.